one of the most critical mitzvot of any generation is the mitzvah of telling people the truth, even if that truth is the opposite of what they believe, even if that truth hurts, even if that truth is conflicting with their reality, even if that truth is controversial to their reality. And the only people that call Torah controversial are people that have very little Torah, if at all. But when we have leaders that do such things, that means that at the very least, if not the entire nation is at risk, then that community is at risk. But we all know that if we let things go, it just manifests and grows and gets worse and worse, because if one community does something bad publicly, another community thinks that it's okay, and it gets worse and worse with each one. So, when Rav Mizrahi Shichye was asked to come speak at several lectures in Manchester, in England, he really didn't want to go, because already he's had some issues with a few Reshaim over there, specifically a person by the name of Dwick, Joseph Dwick, who has been a troublemaker for years. But to save Am Yisrael, you have to constantly sacrifice yourself. So they invited. Eventually he said, yes, let's do it. And expecting that there's going to be problems. But even he didn't expect things to manifest the way they did. Why? We realized through this last few months that there's somebody much worse than Dwick. And that person is the Chief Rabbi of England, Mirvis, Ephraim Mirvis. Now, we briefly talked about him last week, but we'll elaborate further to explain to our dear friends in Europe, our dear friends in the United States, our dear friends around the world, what we're dealing with here, not just in regards to Mirvis, but if anything that he does is being replicated by your community rabbi, he's no less dangerous. He just has less of an impact. Like, for example, I was just looking, somehow I ran into this. Somebody asked me about some shul in, I think it was Connecticut or Baltimore the other day. Either Connecticut or Baltimore, wherever it was. So I looked up the shul and I saw, oh, well, this rabbi, okay, modern Orthodox, okay. And let's look at the bio. And on the bio of this rabbi, he's like, oh, he has a daily radio show, or they call it podcast, with, wait for it, a Christian reverend, or pastor, whatever they call them. Daily. The rabbi and the pastor, they call it. Daily. They work together daily. Who told you such a thing is allowed? Halakha is you're not allowed to be within 6 feet of such a person. He's considered a mean. But we'll get to that. So, first and foremost, we need to understand what we're dealing with here. Rambam. Everybody knows Rambam, not just Yaron Reuven. Yaron Reuven, Rambam, not the same person. Promise you. I wish I was. A shoe. The Rambam wore one time at least. Anyway, the Rambam says some interesting things. In Ilchot Shuvah, chapter 3, Halakha number 5, he says when a person's sins are weighed against his merits, God does not count a sin that was committed only once or twice. A sin is only counted if it was committed 3 times or more. Should it be found that even those sins committed more than 3 times outweigh the person's merits, the sins that were committed twice or less are also added, and he's judged for all the sins. See, we see that Hashem is trying to constantly give us leeway. He's not trying to punish us. He knows we're going to mess up. But if we continue, he says, not only I'll punish you for what you did, that I told you I was going to punish you for. I'll punish you for the stuff that I told you I'm not going to punish you for. Because now you're showing me clear indifference to what I said. The very next halakha, or the continuation of halakha, says that a benoni, meaning someone whose scale is balanced between merit and sin, among his sins is the neglect of the mitzvah of tefillin, to the extent that he never wore even once. He's judged according to his sins. He will nevertheless be granted a portion of the world to come, though. He has, if he does tshuva, he could get olam haba. How? Read the rest of the halakha. If he does all the other things, he's okay. That's why Chabad believes that if you get people to put on tefillin, you can save them. But here's the problem. You have to read the rest of the halakha. What does the rest of the halakha says? All the wicked whose sins are greater than their merits are judged according to their sins. But they are granted a portion in the world to come. For all of Israel has a share of the world to come. As the prophet Isaiah says. But the following people, halakha number 6, the following people do not have a share of the world to come. Rather, their souls are cut off and they're judged for their great sin. By judged, they mean condemned to Gehenom. They're judged for their great wickedness and sins forever. Meaning, yes, I gave you a chance to do tshuva. And yes, even if you didn't lay tefillin, but you did everything else good, you can still get something because I'll allow you to do tshuva. But if you just stay not laying tefillin, if you stay a machti arabim, if you stay all these other different things, you have a very serious problem. Why? Because you could fall into a class of people that do not have a share of the world to come. Who are these people? These people are that get punished forever, he says. Not like they go to Gehenom for like 6 months and they're finished. A year they're finished. 2 years they're finished. No. Forever. Forever means eternally. And by punished, he means Gehenom. The minim, the epikosim, those who deny the Torah, those who deny the resurrection of the dead, those who deny the coming of the Mashiach, those who rebel against Hashem, those who cause many people to sin, those who separate themselves from the community, those who proudly commit sin in public, like Yoakim did, those who betray Jews to Gentile authorities, a Muslim, those who go tell the Arabs, don't let this guy in the airport. Those who cast fear upon people for reasons other than serving God. You make them scared, not because you want them to serve God, because you want them to give you money, because you want them to give you kavod, all types of stuff like that. Murderers, slanderers, meaning lashon hara, those who extend their foreskin as if they're not circumcised. So far we got it. Now who are these now? Now we have the ones that sin in public, we understand. The ones that don't believe in Mashiach, we understand. The ones who rebel against Hashem, we understand. The ones who go tell the people they're Muslim. They go tell the Gentile, the cops, the lawyers, the government, the IRS about their other Jews. We understand that. Why they don't have a olam haba. But who are these other people, these epikosim, minim? What does that mean? What does it mean, a min? Halakha number 7. The following individuals are described as minim. First one, someone who says there's no God, no ruler of the world, i.e. atheist. 2, someone who accepts the concept of a ruler, but maintains that there are 2 or more, i.e. Christian. 3, someone who accepts that there is one master of the world, but maintains that he has a body, a physical body or form, i.e. Christian again, Catholic again. Someone who maintains that he's not the sole first being or creator of existence, and someone who serves a star or a constellation or other entity. Like the Catholics, they serve different spirits and angels and all types of other nonsense that they have there. Or they have an intermediary between them and Hashem, each of these is considered a mean, meaning that a Christian or Catholic are at least 3 out of the 5 descriptions, which means that the rest of the halakha also pertains to them, being that you're not allowed to be within 4 amot, which is 6 to 8 feet, next to someone that is a missionary. If they want to do tshuva, you're not allowed to help them. They're allowed to do tshuva, but you're not allowed to help them. You're not allowed to let them speak to your Jewish congregation, to your students. You're not allowed to have dinner with them, lunch with them. You're not allowed. It's just halakha. This is not just Rambam. This is everybody. This is Gemara. This is the Shulchan Aruch, across the board. So, now we learned already from Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma that I'm not going to move to a community where the lead rabbi is best friends with the Pope. The lead rabbi is friends with a bunch of Catholic missionaries. I'm not going to move there. Why? Because you are who your friends are. Meaning, even if he claims to be that he's untouched and unfazed by the missionaries, I may be. You understand? Even if he's unfazed. If he's Moshe Rabbeinu, he's unfazed. But you keep bringing these Catholics to the community, I'm going to become friends with them. He's going to become friends, everybody's going to become friends with them. We don't have his strength. Which means by bringing these people to the community, you are putting the community in danger of losing their olam haba. Even if you claim to be untouchable, which none of us are untouchable. Needless to say, if all of your friends, you don't have one single friend that's normal, all of your friends have one of these 5 descriptions, we have a very serious problem. So let's see. Ephraim Mirvis, on October 23, 2018, published an article taking a class picture of Mirvis and his best friends, the Christian and Jewish leaders that lead the Council of Christians and Jews, CCJ, after completing the 75th year of its existence. Here is the class picture of all of the people running it, all of which were presidents of the organization. Here you go. Here's the picture. Here you see Mirvis, smiling. Here you see the lead Reform rabbi, a.k.a. Rabbanit, a.k.a. woman, but she wears a kippah. Here you see Dweck. Everyone here, Catholics and Christians. He's the president of this organization, or was the president of this organization. This is a picture from a few months ago. So he's not like he was a president and now he's not involved anymore. All of these presidents are still very heavily involved now, as we speak. Still running it now. The relationship between Dweck and him, I never knew. Why did he defend him when everything happened with Dweck a year or two ago? Now you see the relationship is not new. Why? Because Dweck actually was the president of CCJ before Mirvis. Here you go, Dweck, little Dwecky. Shem Rashayim Yirkav. Here you go, Joseph Dweck was the president before him. The only thing that separated Dweck and Mirvis is the Reform rabbi. She was the president in between them. And another conservative rabbi. There's not one normal rabbi in the entire thing. The rest of them are normal Catholics, though. The Catholics are normal. The Jews are not normal. This is a Christian Jewish organization, meaning an organization of missionizing, an organization. They say that it's for Jewish causes, to have good relations between the church and the synagogue. Oh wait, so it's allowed? Where does it say it's allowed? Where is it allowed that we're going to work together with them? Which halacha is this? Which book? Which book said that we're supposed to work so closely with heretics and minim and idol worshippers? Which book said this? Show me. Here, in case somebody doesn't want to believe the picture, here's the actual description of the article. I highlighted for you the Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mirvis, Chief Rabbi of the United Hebrew Congregation of the Commonwealth, and here is Susan Brown, and here is Rabbi Joseph Dweck, the Senior Rabbi of the S&P. Might as well be the S&P 500, not the actual shul, but anyway, these guys are connected like almost Siamese twins. Now, what else has Mirvis achieved in his life? Let's see. He put together a report that took the Jewish world by storm. Why? He called it the LGBT inclusion. A guide for Orthodox Jewish schools for the well-being of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transsexual people. So we're going to just simply ignore the fact that there's an halakha in the Torah that says that someone that performs homosexuality is considered an abomination. No different than someone that makes sins with an animal. No different than a pedophile. We're just going to ignore the fact that the overwhelming majority of pedophiles also are homosexuals. We're going to ignore that. We're just going to make it like it doesn't actually, like, no one ever said that. Pretend I didn't say it. And we're going to follow Mirvis. What's his suggestion? The general approach recommended by the booklet allows students to define their sexual identity as heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, and their gender as male or female based on feelings. Feelings. There's no brit milah. No brit milah. That's not. It's the feelings. If you feel like a woman, but you happen to have a brit milah, you're a woman. We agree with you. God's wrong. God made a mistake on this one. Students can also declare themselves as being gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender because that is how they feel and should be accepted as such. They should be made to feel comfortable with their chosen sexual orientation and helped to fulfill themselves in a Jewish life. Yes, in a Jewish life, they would actually get stoned. So, I mean, if you want to help them, I mean, that's not really going to help them because you should help them do tshuva. You should help them understand that their desire does not, no one's forcing them to act on this desire. That's helping them by telling them that, no, you want to be with a boyfriend and a boyfriend. Hazaku Baruch. That's not helping them. That's helping them go to Gehinom. The booklet also stresses that it's wrong to recommend therapy to help them assume a heterosexual orientation. Meaning, even if the guy wants to do tshuva, he says, Kvod Harav, Mirvis, Kvod Harav, Dweck, listen, I want to do tshuva. I really like men. I'm a man. I like men. I want to do tshuva. No, are you crazy? Don't do tshuva. It's how you were born. Hashem made a mistake with you. He understands. He made a mistake. He wanted you to be a woman in a man's body. He wanted me to be a cat in a man's body. Him, he's Pikachu. We're all going to be like fight crime together. The guy wants to do tshuva? No, don't tell him no. Tell him no. No good. This disaster of a document encouraged the government to, in essence, make it a law to teach homosexuality, transsexuality, and all these things in regular schools, including the yeshivot. I mean, there was a report that came out today that a bunch of parents are fighting this by not sending their kids to school. Baruch Hashem, somebody's at least fighting. But if that's not enough, if teaching homosexuality, transsexuality, not even allowing people to understand that they should do tshuva, in fact encouraging them not to do tshuva, if that's not enough, well, the Mirvis wants to have it all. So he says, it's more important than ever that our children have a better understanding of Islam and that we build strong relationships with British Muslims. As such, the Chief Rabbi has recommended that schools take this opportunity to teach students Islam, a faith which is widely discussed but often poorly understood in a public discourse. Wait, are you an imam or a Jewish rabbi? Well, if you look at his Wikipedia, he's the first Orthodox rabbi that brought an imam to his synagogue to speak to a Shabbaton. Chief Rabbi Ephraim Mirvis joined Sadiq Khan and religious leaders for an interfaith iftar at St. John's Wood Synagogue on Wednesday night. He's very good for us. Why? He takes pictures all by himself. We don't have to find them. Here's Mirvis and all of his buddies. This is Mirvis. This is the mayor. This is one of his buddies that's an idol worshiper. This is one of his buddies that's a Muslim, Reform, conservative, all types of mishmash. They're all celebrating together. And if that's not enough, here, him, he's at the kotel with an idol worshiper right next to him. His best friend, he brought him there, the archbishop. He brought his archbishop best friend to the kotel to pray with him together. Shtabach Shemol Ad, look at this. It's like bringing Nebuchadnezzar to the Bet Mikdash. Come kapara alecha, come. Come destroy the Bet Mikdash, come. Now, Mirvis is just a religious fanatic. He's just a religious fanatic. So it's not enough to bring the Pope and all of his buddies and celebrate. He has to go to all religions because we have to be religiously correct. So he went on a fantastic trip. He went and visited the Taj Mahal. What's the Taj Mahal, Rabotai? Taj Mahal is basically a tomb of the queens of one of the Islamic emperors of India. Basically, it's a symbol of love and a tourist destination in India. He went there, and this is where he went on vacation, to the Taj Mahal. This is where we go. Here. Here you go. Thank you, Mirvis, for taking a nice picture to help us with our research. Shem Yirachem. This is where we, instead of going to Kivret Tzadikim, go to Rabbi Akiva, the Rambam, go, do something useful for Am Yisrael, give a Shiur Torah, do something. No, I'm going to go to Islam. Maybe I'll help fund the next terrorist attack. Now, maybe this is all just me. Maybe I'm just a fanatic, crazy person. So let's see what Mirvis says about himself. What does he say about the Pope? What's his feelings about the Pope, really? Chief Rabbi, Britain's Chief Rabbi, hails the Pope Francis as an outstanding spiritual leader. The Pope is an admirable leader for him. He looks up to the Pope, meaning the leader of idolatry in the Catholic world. Chazaku Baruch. A big Chazaku Baruch. This is Mirvis and his new buddy, the Pope. And the archbishops and Catholics and so on. This is fantastic for the Jewish world. Now, of course, we can't leave the Muslims out. So what? They have a holiday? What is the holiday? Ramadan. Let's celebrate it. Yeah, but you're a Jew. So what? So Mirvis goes and celebrates Ramadan. Here's the bigger picture of what I showed you before. The Cardinal and the London Mayor and Mirvis, the chief Orthodox rabbi, all in a picture together in the interfaith gathering of Ramadan, which, according to the Rambam, according to Halacha, anyone that makes a new religion is chayav mita. Now, also, we know that we are not allowed, as Jews, the Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah, and then, of course, the Rambam, and, of course, the Shulchan Aruch, all agree that a Jew is not allowed to go to church. if, to such an extent they say, if there are somebody chasing you to kill you, you have an option to go to Reform Shul, hide there. Catholic Christian church, hide there. Or to go to a mosque. Where can you go? You can't go to the Reform Shul, because that's heresy over there. You cannot go to a place of idolatry, so the Catholic or Christian church, you're not allowed to go inside. Only place you're allowed to hide is inside the mosque. Unfortunately, maybe the terrorist is inside there. But nonetheless, maybe there's some good people. There are a few Muslims that are decent people. But needless to say, you cannot go to a church. Got it? Good. Turn on the battery, please. Mirvis is above the law. He's above the law. Why? Because Mirvis decided that in 2005 he's going to address his fellows of the CCJ, the Christian Jewish organization, Christian and Jews organization, Council of Christian and Jews. He's going to address them where? None less than the Synod Church of England. We're going to have a meeting there. This is on Wikipedia. You can find this on Wikipedia, this specific thing. This is not like a hidden meeting. This is a public meeting. Meaning, he's not only going into a church which is forbidden, he's also a Chilul Hashem walking. By publicizing to the Jewish world, by the way, I went to a church. So what you going to say about it? It's Chilul Hashem. Now, Arav Sternbach, one of the Gdolei Hador, issued a letter recently warning everybody about Mirvis, telling them that they have to fight against him, fight against this homosexuality promotion, this other religion promotion, all the garbage that he's doing. No one is allowed to stay quiet. Now, so you wouldn't think that maybe this Rav Moshe Sternbach, he doesn't understand the makeup of Israel is very different than the UK. No. Rav Sternbach is from the UK. Anyone that wants a copy of the letter, it's available online, or you can send us a message, we can send it to you. Wonderful letter telling people that if you stay quiet, you are a partner in the sin. Now, the best part about Mirvis is that when you go and search for information about him, you'll find a lot more about him on the Christian and Catholic websites than you will find on Jewish websites. Almost every Catholic website has information about him. It's unbelievable. It's like best friends. The Archbishop of York, in February 19, 2014, published the following: why is interreligious relations matter today? A Christian perspective. The Archbishop of York spoke at the launch event, Interfaith in the 21st Century, New Paradigms in Jewish-Christian Relations at Durham University in February 2014. His address, Why Interrelations Matter Today, A Christian Perspective, follows in full. And he gives he writes down everything that this Archbishop said. I highlighted a small part. I'm not going to read the whole thing for you guys, but here's one nice part where he said, my desire as a Christian, by the way, you should know, Mirvis is present at this meeting. He is the one that invited him. Maybe I forgot to say that. You can actually see this online. He's the one that invited him to this whole thing. So now, what does Archbishop say to a bunch of Jewish people? My desire as a Christian, an Archbishop of York, is for all of us in our global village to flourish as human beings, and for Christians as disciples of Jesus, I can't say the other thing, to say that in him is the offer of the gift of life in all its fullness. This, so you don't mistake what he's trying to say, this is an invitation, not a judgment. on anyone's religious adherence. I see myself not as my brother's keeper, but as my brother's brother. He's missionizing in your face. Now, if you don't agree that this is missionizing, then you're deaf. But let's say you're right. If there's 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people there, there's going to be at least one 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old little kid that's probably not so strong in his emunah, not so strong in his yirat shamayim, and he's going to like the tone of voice and language that this Archbishop of York is saying. So you know what? What else does he say? Let me go on his website. Let me go on his internet site. Let me buy some of his books. Who is this Jesus guy? And guess what? We just lost the Jewish. That's why you're not even allowed to be within 6 feet of them. You're not even allowed to hear them speak. You're not allowed to hear like the Christian missionaries and all the pastors and all of these people give their speeches. I don't know why Jewish people send all of these WhatsApp messages with all types of pastors and Christian reverends and so on, talk about Israel, like promoting Israel. You're not supposed to promote their stuff. Ever. I don't care. Even if they say Israel belongs to the Jews, they're the best, nothing. You're not allowed to. Why? In case this person sounds good to somebody, that's a Jew, and that somebody is going to now go on their website or on Amazon or somewhere and want to buy their work. What do you think they're promoting on their work? Jesus. So stop sending Christian messages to Jewish people, for heaven's sake, especially if you're a Jew. I just got one today. Now, maybe we're extreme. So let's look at the course that Mirvis gives in his school. A new course was launched for Jewish people. What should they study? A Jewish Guide to Christianity, with Dr. Lindsay Taylor Goodhart's. What Jews need to know. This course will examine the origins and development of Christianity, including a survey of Christian denominations in the UK. Topics include the life of Jesus, the developments of core Christian beliefs, the rise of the church and its relationship with the Jews, and recent developments such as the ecumenical movement, interfaith dialogue, and the effect of the Holocaust on Christian thinking about Jews and Judaism. Oh, thank you. Dr. Lindsay Taylor Goodhart's is a LSJS teaching fellow and a graduate of the LSJS Susie Bradfield program. The best part about it is that it's not a one-day lecture. Like, it's not enough to torture Am Yisrael for one day. It's a 6-week course. And during the 6 weeks, they bring Christian pastors and brethren to teach the Jewish kids. You send your kid to become more religious, more frum, close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he comes out a Christian. Now, if it's not enough that you're going to teach him Christianity, you figure, you know what, let's just teach him, let's keep a little bit of a distance. No, what distance? Distance? That's for crazy people. No, we're going to even put a statue of Miriam for Jewish people to look at. Another idol. We're going to look at this. That's their logo. Now, Baruch Hashem, Mirvis has buried himself by publicizing all the stuff himself. So it's not like I didn't have to hire a private detective or anything. You could find all the stuff on your own if you'd like. But the one thing that I'm not 100% sure is what I'm going to say now. You see, in several places, including BBC, the Jewish Chronicle, which is fantastic at publicizing Lashon Hara, and several other websites, at least a half a dozen or more websites, talk about the family, the lineage of Rabbi Mirvis, Ephraim Mirvis, who his father is, grandfather, but they don't give that much detail. Now I looked it up a little bit, and his father is a nice old man, was a rabbi, and he actually has a couple of videos on YouTube teaching Kabbalah. It's interesting that his father teaches Kabbalah, but Mirvis says that one of the reasons why he's against Rabbi Mizrahi is because Rabbi Mizrahi says that if you made a sin in your previous life, then you get reincarnated, and that's not good. Well, that's actually part of Kabbalah. So you should have a discussion with your father, because that's technically what he believes, and technically all Jews are supposed to believe. But anyway, let's just pretend that didn't happen. Now, who is Mirvis? His father obviously has nice things to say about him. He says that he never got into a fight, which actually makes it sound strange. But what I'm more interested in is his grandfather. Why? Because it says here in a Jewish chronicle, more than a few times, Rabbi Mirvis comes from a family of rabbis and teachers. His grandfather, Reverend Lazar Mirvis, was a minister in Johannesburg, while his father, Rabbi Dr. Lionel Mirvis, led the Claremont Synagogue and also the Windberg Hebrew Congregation in Cape Town. So now, they're calling his grandfather Reverend and a minister in Johannesburg. Now, I'm not sure if he's actually a reverend for Christianity, or this is just one of those silly customs that was taken up in Africa as part of our punishment and being in the exile, where we use Christian terms for Jewish things. Like, for example, the 5 books of Moses have, they're called different Christian names: Deuteronomy, Genesis, and so on. I have a couple of contacts in Africa, and I asked them, are rabbis called reverends and ministers? One person told me absolutely not. One person told me no, I don't think so. One person told me maybe, but like a long time ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So that is what puts my safek. That's what puts my doubt. Because it is possible that Reverend Lazar Mirvis was really, not a reverend for Christianity, but rather a Jewish position that was given to somebody that was not a rabbi per se, but still a leader within a Jewish community. Needless to say, it's not exactly a good look to be called reverend. But if he was a Christian, that kind of puts the nail in the coffin of making me understand why Mirvis has such a sympathy for the Catholic and Christian Church. But even if it doesn't, needless to say, Mirvis himself today has already done the job even without having the lineage. The point is, Rabotai, is that we have to understand the following. If you're going to be in a community where the head rabbi, Mirvis, is best friend with people that the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch and our entire Torah calls minim, people that have no share of the world to come, people that you're not allowed to stand next to, people that are considered wicked, the wicked of wicked in the eyes of Hashem. And that's who you hang out with on a regular basis, not because you have to, but because you choose to. Now, if you are a politician, naturally, you're going to be associated with certain people you don't really want to be associated with. Why? Because that's just the way that world works. But here, we're not talking about that. Here, we're talking about there's a lot of private meetings that have nothing to do with politics. Befriending of each other, working with each other, being involved in association together. I was in the business world before I started speaking for Hashem, so I understand what it means to network. There's absolutely no reason in the world for anybody to socialize that much with someone that their primary mission is to destroy your nation. Whether they say it or not is irrelevant, which they actually did say it in one of the papers. So, if you are a Jew that lives in the UK, you have to understand it's not a matter of whether you like me or not. It has nothing to do with me. I just end up being the parrot that says what nobody else wants to say. You have to understand, there's a Torah. The Torah came from God. And God says there are certain people you have to stay away from. Whether they're Jewish or not is irrelevant. If they're considered minim, they cause other people to sin, they cause other people to distance from Hashem, danger. If your leader is so close to the Pope and the Archbishop and all of these other people, you have a very, very deep sickness, a deep disease within your society. And you have to do something about it. Now, unfortunately, it's not such, there's no free lunch anywhere else. It's not easy anywhere else, even whether it's in Israel or America or anywhere else. But obviously, everybody's got to do something. At the very least, stop supporting these people. At the very least, get them out of office. Stop giving them a position of power. At the very least, stop ignoring the problem. We have an intermarriage disaster in our generation. There are as many people being intermarried today as there were right before World War II, the Holocaust. Right before Hashem nearly annihilated the entire nation, we had an enormous amount of intermarriage. Right now, same thing, in some cases worse. Atheism is at an all-time high. Anti-religion mentality is a disaster. We have enough problems as it is to bring the church and all of what comes with it to our house. I mean, that's just committing suicide. They're going to come anyway because of the political correctness of the world. But why are you inviting them? Why are you admiring them? Why are you telling people that they should, go to soccer games and pray special prayers for the soccer team, like as if they're goyim? What's a chief rabbi doing at a soccer game? He has plenty of pictures on his site and all over the internet at soccer games. He says that one of the people that he admires most is the head coach of the English soccer team. Why don't you say that you admire Moshe Rabbeinu? You're the chief rabbi, you fool. You're not an average Joe. If you're an average Joe, admire Osama bin Laden for all I care. But when you are a leader, you are putting the kosher stamp on everything you do. If you're saying you admire the head coach of a soccer team, guess what? You just made soccer a mitzvah. If you're saying you admire the Archbishop, guess what? Christianity, Catholicism, mitzvah. If the Pope is fantastic, amazing, admirable, and all the other wonderful adjectives you use to describe him, guess what? Catholicism, mitzvah. You are now becoming a machtia rabin. And needless to say, if you're stopping the only person that's willing to come for free to rebuke the people and tell them to do tshuva by going and informing on him to the goyim and putting his life in danger, guess what? You have now made all Jews in the UK and around the world that follow you believe that informing on some other Jew to the goyim is what? Mitzvah. The Rambam says they lose Olam Haba for doing such a thing. You lose Olam Haba for doing such a thing if you don't do tshuva. But you're saying, no, mitzvah, to inform on Rabbi Mizrahi, to inform on anybody that we don't like, that's not politically correct, that's not going to follow our nonsense. Chachamim tiz'aru b'divrechem. Mishnah in Avot says the Chachamim, you have to be careful with your words. Why? Because if you don't use your words properly, all of your followers, all of your students, all of the people will only go to a one-way direction called Gehenom. Why? Why do you hate the people of Am Yisrael so much that you want them to go to Gehenom? Why? What they do to you? They put you in power. Shouldn't you at the very least help them get the Gan Eden? Show me one Torah source that allows him to do what he's doing. One real halacha in the Torah allows him to do what he's doing. each Jew that lives in that community, each Jew that follows that community, and all of his friends needs to know you are in danger. And every other Jewish community is in danger. Why? Because he's not just anybody. Same thing with Ephraim Goldberg. When he brought the Catholic, or tried to bring the Catholic missionary, if Hashem did not have mercy on us and cancel that event, you would have seen Catholic missionaries in every single shul all over Florida, and within months all over the United States. Why? He's the head dayan in Florida. Once the head rabbi does something, people don't know halacha. People don't know what Rambam is. People don't know what Shulchan Aruch is. Rabbi does it, that means it's kosher. Am Yisrael, we're in danger. But the biggest danger of all is not the Catholic Church or the Christian Church or the Muslims or the missiles or the terrorists. The biggest danger is the fake leaders that are bringing us as korbanot to the enemies of the Torah, because they themselves are enemies of Torah, even though they may claim to be representatives of Torah. So everybody's got to watch their family, has to be careful. Next week, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to continue this Mishnah, because he talks about why he says that money is not important to him. Because eventually we all end up in the grave. What does it mean we end up in the grave? What is the grave? Maybe we'll talk a little bit about Chibut HaKever. Wonderful subject that all Jews need to learn at least once in their life. It's almost a little scarier than the Gehinom Shiur, but I'll try to keep it short and simple for you guys, so you get just enough scared to not lose your mind. But you need to know this stuff. This is part of Torah. And maybe Mirvis is actually going to watch that part too, so hopefully he'll realize that eventually the maggots are going to eat his body too, no matter how much he has or who and what and when. Everybody gets eaten by the maggots in the end. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, this hopefully should give people some chizuk to get up and leave, or stand up for the truth, but most importantly, stop staying quiet. If your rabbi is constantly socializing, constantly admiring, constantly promoting Christians and the New Testament and things like that, kick them to the curb. Kick them to the curb. I don't care how famous they are, who they know, what they know, to the curb. Why? We already have enough problems. To lose one Jew is to lose an entire world. If one Jew likes this Catholic, this Christian, pastor, reverend, finished. Every Jew is more valuable than the rest of the world. Can't put them in harm's way.